All right, am I online? All right, those that I'm recording some, those that are in love and light, greetings, welcome, and thank you for stopping by here on TikTok Live at the one and only Bloom from Within Love. I go by Bloomy. Welcome, welcome. I said I would come back with some discussions. It's not going to be what you think, okay? For those of you that are interested in seeing the readings that I've done, the reading that I did today, I will be getting that uploaded tonight. Once it's finished processing, I will be uploading it onto my YouTube, okay? For those of you who didn't get to see it from start to finish and, yada, yada. Okay, but I wanted to talk about something to do with divine masculine energy. Okay, so please take everything, like I said, with balance, a grain of salt. This is my understanding, my resonance, what I've gathered in my own journey, in my own research, my own studies, my own personal experience. So I don't proclaim to have all of the answers, and I certainly do not proclaim that there's any one way, okay? Because that's just erroneous. But as you guys are coming in, you're seeing the title Yewshua. I think I put Yewshua, the transformation. Yewshua, the transformation, about Yewshua. Okay, so most of you that have followed me long enough, you know that I do not subscribe. I know the illusion behind this 3D matrix. I know the illusion behind man-made religion versus the truth about source, the truth about ascended masters, and different ones, Yewshua being one of them. Now, the text, the various spiritual and religious texts that's applicable, that's valid, okay, that hasn't been tainted with, there's a hidden truth for those when they are ready to awaken, they will know. Okay, it's kind of that kind of situation. They will know. Until that happens, it's like somebody reading Chinese. They can read it from here to kingdom come, but it's going to be flat and it's going to be the same thing. It's not going to have the depth and the actual understanding and meaning behind it. So what I like about, this is an aspect of Yewshua, okay? There's two experiences I want to highlight about his transformation. One of my favorite ones is the good old story of he goes into the wilderness. Okay? He goes into the wilderness for a certain amount of time, fasting and praying, woo-de-woo, and he so-called meets the devil. Okay? To challenge him. Now, what I'm gathering about that, and again, like I said, I don't really proclaim to have all of the answers here, but this makes perfect sense when you start realizing what is Christ consciousness about. The ego, the lower mind, all things that are attached to this earthly experience, which is what our asleep state, it's our childlike state, it's that animalistic primitive nature that drives you, that's hedonistic. And your ascension is a process of lovingly overcoming that, getting that under your command. Because if you don't, it's going to have power and control and rule over you and have the power to destroy your life, because it's like giving a child keys to a Ferrari the moment they get their driver's license. There's no character, there's no development, there's no understanding, there's no sense of knowing how to control one's own energy, there's no sense of morale, there's no sense of any of that. So it's like the same thing. This was a part. It was a part of his transformation. It was a part of his awakening. Can you heal and merge this aspect of you to where you're not volatile, where you're not allowing yourself to just willy-nilly like everybody else? Oh, I can boom, bitch, ego talking, bitch. You can do this. All you got to do is sacrifice everything for me. All you got to do is be willing to do any and everything, and you can be wonderful. You don't need morals. Morals, let's get our way, bitch. So it's the process of overcoming that. That's one aspect I wanted to share. One of my favorite stories. That's one of the process of a divine masculine. Now, as he steps into, right, more and more and more, another favorite scene of mine, which is going to mark any true divine masculine today. It may look a little bit different. It may manifest differently, but it's going to have the same frequency, the same driving force. Divine masculines are revolutionaries, and they're actually advocates. Okay, and let me put this way, authentic. Because yes, you do have people, like I always talk about, the program version of woke, people that just sit back and study folks and mimic folks, but they're not actually honoring or being that. It's a vast difference, because, you know, if you look at these people's lives, they don't uphold this honor they claim they have for women. If you look behind the scene, they're the corporate. I saw a gentleman here on TikTok that did a short. I think I liked it. And he said, he was talking about how men, you know, are crying now or some shit like that. And so I know that this doesn't apply to all men, but he was saying like these are the same men, you know, because this hierarchy shit or this patriarchy, you know, distortion is starting to be broken down. And they're crying and woody woo and, you know, yada, 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 right? He was like, but these are the very men that sat back and did nothing. They sat back and allowed people to mistreat women, speak badly about women, exploit women. They just sat back quietly. They did nothing. They said nothing. And now that, you know what I'm saying, the shit is turning where they're not, you know, able to capitalize this distorted patriarchal energies. They whining and shit, bitch. You heard? Because, you know what I'm saying, whoop de whoop. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but what were you doing when the divine feminines were being attacked, when feminines were being mistreated, picked on, and all these things? Did you sit back and do nothing, or did you step into a divine masculine energy? Or did you cower like the rest of them? Did you run and hide and be quiet like the rest? Huh? Yeshua's transformation caused him to be a very controversial person and very in your face and revolutionary. And as a matter of fact, in the times that he was here, and the times where the kind of shit just wasn't done. It wasn't done. It wasn't allowed. It was frowned upon. And one of his most infamous moves was when the townsfolks was ganging up on Mary Magdalene. Okay? Because prior to Mary Magdalene's full awakening and transformation, she was a woman of ill repute. Her heart wasn't fucked up like some of the other women, but she was a woman of ill repute. So the towns, motherfuckers, the townspeople, you see, the do-gooders, was getting together and throwing stones and gaining up on her, right? All of them, men, women, everybody, bitch, all they ass. Okay? Pointing fingers, quoting Bible, saying all sorts of shit, bitch. Everybody forgot, like, why are you over here? So you just kind of like expose yourself. But anyway, I digress. So his infamous move to me, you know, was he was a true advocate. He didn't run. He didn't look at these other folks and their fake ass pretension and tell them, oh, you know, yeah, y'all right. He didn't say no to hell he didn't. He didn't say, you right, yeah, you know what I'm saying, woo-dee-woo, woo. Like, you know, he didn't do none of that. He was like, look at these motherfuckers. Fake ass. All right, they want to play this game. Let's play. He called them out and stood up for divine feminine. He called out their hypocrisy, their double standards, and stood up for divine feminine. This is when you know masculine is in true transformation. I'm not talking about men standing up for Jezebels and Delilahs. I'm talking about when masculine steps into their divine masculine, knowing that the divine feminine has been the target of abuse, of misuse, of mistreatment while she was on her journey to awakening her soul, which is different than that of the harlots of the time. Knowing that these people took full advantage. They didn't. Some of them motherfuckers was some of her customers, bitch. They sure didn't have no problem. Yeah. Now all of a sudden that they're outside in the public, they want to be huffy and shit. They want to be talking some kind of jazz, barely pulling up their pants and buckling up them belts, and wants to say some things. The transformation of Yewshua, which represents versions of masculines transforming into divine masculine energy, awakening to Christ consciousness. They're awakening. They are advocates of women in sincerity, not just for Instagram and Facebook likes and follows. Behind the scene, they stand for justice for all women. The ones that everybody have fun with targeting and scapegoating. They're an advocate for those women. They do not sit back and join the crowd of people pleasers and hackling hyenas. They stand up. And they can do it delicately. They can do it elegantly. It's all different. But they certainly, no doubt, advocate. They see through the BS of people's, conservatism, if that's a word, bitch. Because like I said, some of these people were her clients. Isn't that ironic? That her clients were a part of trying to scapegoat her. Her clients were a part of the witch hunt. Her clients when they got in public, they want to change the game. Like nobody saw. Like nobody knew, because see, this is the nature of the lower mind anyway, because it was in the room, bitch, in the, hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. That nobody don't know, you see. And then you can just straighten up and go outside, bitch, and continue to show as usual. True divine masculine energies are actual revolutionaries. They go against the grain. They are not looking to fit in. It's obvious. Yewshua was definitely controversial in his time. This is a time where women were considered to be property, were considered to be second class, were considered so many things. This wasn't the time that like we're in 2023. There's a lot of liberation to a degree. So the point that I'm making is he did this in a time where this was not something that was trending. when he was not going to be receiving any freaking accolades for it. He wasn't going to be receiving any support because this was something that just was not done. And he had a tendency to do that. And people always had something to say about it, didn't they? From his posse to strangers. You know, we don't let women in the party, bitch. Like, we don't let them come and touch us, bitch. Like, that's not how we do. That ain't the rules. That ain't how we roll. The rules say you ain't supposed to do this. So why if you knew what manner of woman, if you knew what manner of woman that is, half of them probably slept with this woman they talking about if you knew what manner of woman. You wouldn't be doing that. You wouldn't be allowing that. He was very controversial. You go to the side of town. We ain't supposed to do that. You see all these things he ain't supposed to do? Does this sound familiar? All these things he ain't supposed to do based on the rules. Sounds familiar yet? He had a tendency to do this. You ain't supposed to go, we don't go to that side of town. You heard? We don't do that, and we don't get water from them, okay? That's not what we do. And what did he do? That was his twin, so here he goes. He ain't try to explain nothing because he knew the deal. He had to speak in parables, bitch. And he knew half of this shit motherfuckers wasn't going to get and understand anyway. It was a waste. So he just simply did what he had to do, what he felt drawn to do, and allowed the disgruntled responses of people. And allowed the chatter, the controversy, all of it. Y'all think he wasn't controversial? Do y'all? Come on, man. Do y'all think he wasn't gossiped about? Do y'all think that people, as he embraced his transformation, do y'all think that people didn't call him everything but what he was? Because they didn't have power and control over him. Y'all think he wasn't misunderstood? Do y'all think he didn't have to deal with a headache? He had to deal with a headache from his so-called peeps, and he had to deal with headaches from the fucking motherfuckers of the time that thought they had all the answers, bitch. A revolutionary, controversial. He stood up for women. And he wasn't doing it just so he can get TikTok followers and likes. He meant it. He did it behind the scene. He did it when he didn't get a yay, Yewshua. He did it when they didn't, throw snacks at him, shit, bitch. You know what I'm saying? He did it when everybody was frowning at him for doing it. He did it when people were judging him for doing it. He did it when he knew that he would suffer and get backlash from the establishment of the times. There's no comments here. Comments are being removed. There's some filters on, and it's possibly this. They're automatically doing it, so it's like I'm not doing it. It's the The system is doing it. So if it's kind of like threatening, or if it's, you know what I'm saying? It just depends on what people are saying, but I'm not the one removing it. Because it says here, we're filtered to protect the community. Yeah, I didn't filter it. So I guess what I'm sharing is these are two experiences. If we were to just kind of try to look at them from more of an open mind kind of space, not so much the religious space in which maybe most of us have traditionally looked at it, but when we're looking at how does this apply to us, and how does this apply to life, and how does this apply to a masculine stepping into some form of a divine energy in nature, right? How does it apply to us overcoming or balancing or healing, whatever words we need to use as it relates to living in fight, flight, or freeze, the sleep state, which makes us primitive in nature, egoic, driven, and hedonistic, which does not have a moral code at all. It is very exploitatory and predatory. It does not care about who you have to step on, stab, steal, or kill. Does that sound familiar? Anybody catching that yet? It doesn't care about who you have to rob, steal, kill, and destroy in order to get what it wants. Does that sound familiar yet? Somebody said they're trying to contact me. Hold on, let me see if it'll let me. I don't know if it's going to let me do this here, but I'll see. These are the methods that I use for people to contact me pertaining to anything to do with either readings, teachings, healings. These are the methods that you can use. Let's see. See if it let me do it. Okay. All right. So these two methods are the ways. You just need to identify yourself and be clear, and let me know what it is that you're contacting me about. Okay. There you go. Okay, and I'll usually reply within 24 hours. Okay, I'll even check my spam. Somebody says I've been trying. You've been trying the email, or have you been trying the number? Because I haven't gotten anything on my number for sure. But if you've been trying in the email, I'll check my spam again, because I haven't got nothing from somebody saying, hey, I'm from TikTok, or hey, my woo-de-woo. I haven't gotten nothing. Okay, so the only thing I can tell you is whatever method, please just identify yourself, because I screen everything out. So if I get a lot of stuff and nobody's saying like who they are or where they saw me or what they were asking for, I won't engage, because I do have a lot of karmic energies out there. I won't engage. I'm like, if people are serious, then they're gonna be serious about how they approach me. Meaning, hey, I saw you on TikTok, I'm one of your followers, so forth. Okay, somebody said good work. Oh, okay, thank you. But with this discussion, this is just a discussion. Like I said, I'm not an expert, and I'm not proclaiming to have all of the answers. In fact, you guys should raise your eyebrows when anybody is claiming to have all the answers. So just paralleling these things about Yewshua, okay, helps us to understand ourselves, the challenges we go through with the awakening process, right? Man, am I going to stay locked here, or am I going to ascend? Am I going to ascend, right? And then once we do embrace a level of the awakening and a level of the healing, then it's like now you're called to the carpet, because it's not just about being the next cool guru. It's not just about, what I'm saying? Somebody said, I don't have your email. Oh, okay. I just put it up here, dear. It should be, if you scroll up, it's right there. And I'm not sure if you click on it, if it's like a direct link, but I did type it in for those of you who are interested. This is more than just about the trending. Oh, everybody is doing it. This looks good. This sounds good. Um, you can get a following. You can get, and it's nothing really wrong with those things in and of itself, but that's not what the awakening is about. It's about the authenticity, because when it's authentic, then it's not just something that's like a 9 to 5. You know how we go to a job and, old school, those of us from the old school, there used to be jobs where there was this punch card. The old school, now they got just the sliding cards, but old school, there was these punch cards where you can punch it in, and then you punch in and out, for your lunch or whatever, and then at the end of the day you punch out, and then that's it. That was it. You left work, okay, that was done. You didn't take the work home. That's it until you go back to the office and clock back in, and now you're back in your work mode, okay? But ascension and awakening is not just, metaphorically speaking, a clocking in and out a 9 to 5. I do this for my social media presence. I do this so that I can have viewers, followers, and subscribers. I do this so that I can have clients. But as soon as I'm not dealing with a client, or as soon as I'm not dealing with my content creation, as soon as I'm not doing that, my life is actually nothing and absolutely nothing like what I am portraying. That is the nature of someone that has just opted into this thing just for a job. And I'm not here to, say who wrong for that and guilty woo, but I'm really pointing out the differences. Because when it's authentic, it becomes your life. And it's not for everybody. And it's certainly not for the faint of heart. But this is why there's like old wise sayings about being careful about being teachers and so forth, because what ends up happening is, whether people want to or not, they'll be called to the carpet energetically. Because if somebody is trying to come off as so sincere, but they know that they're not, this is just so that they can get a like, a following. And I'm not talking about us that just, please take this with balance. I'm not talking about how we have like fun and a good time and woo-de-woo. I'm talking about people that are in some type of energy of portraying themselves to be teachers, healers, gurus, those type. I'm not talking about how we all just have fun and play and woo-de-woo. That's different, okay? But people that have, they are on various platforms and they're trying to, tell people bitch and woo-de-woo, but they don't believe it to the heart. They're not applying this themselves. They just managed to learn how to read a script, if you will. They've managed to learn how to Google copy and paste. They've managed to learn how to rehearse lingo. Yeah, somebody says they're irritating. Yeah, know exactly what you mean. Yeah, but see, our part is, okay, we just gotta, yeah, like all the rest of the ones before us, kind of just have to continue our own journey and work, right? That's the best that we can do, and go, okay, well, it is what it is. But see, it helps you and those that are following behind you to learn how to gauge wisdom and to learn for themselves how to sift through between authenticity. And I never said perfect, I said authentic. Authenticity versus fraud. Because an authentic person can make a mistake. A fraud, had no intention on being authentic to begin with. They had ill will that was driving them to begin with. It was intentional. An authentic person can be wrong because, yeah, we wear a human jacket and it's called a journey and it's called a process. But if it's sincere and authentic, this is where that grace, because that heart, that soul, the person is doing all they can behind the scene to apply this to their own lives. That's a difference between people who, they ain't got no intention, bitch. Other than what kind of accolade they can get, how it's going to make them look, what kind of benefit. But behind the scene, they're exploiting the very populations that they go about acting like they're such an advocate for. You're not an advocate for women if you are a part of abusing women, no matter what your excuse is. You're not an advocate for women if you're a part of getting together with lowlifes and gang stalking, mistreating, smear campaigning out of your own brokenness and insecurity and your desire to fit in. That's not an advocate. You're not an advocate for women when you categorize in any women that you don't like or that don't like you or that is no longer in your world you feel entitled to, attempt to defame just out of the sheer bitterness, envy, jealousy, and insecurity. You're not an advocate for women if you don't have a problem with going into the midnight blue light special, midnight, red district, that you don't mind having a little funny fun on a low. But then to the public, defame the very woman that you didn't mind having fun with. It's called hypocrisy. It's called a double standard. It's called fake. The power of Yewshua's transformation. He overcame his ego. This is when you know a masculine is maturing, because they overcome being ruled and dominated by their lower mind. And you'll see it in their conduct and in their behavior. It's not something that they can just copy and paste and put it on Instagram. You'll see it. You'll sense it. It'll be patterns that they have established because it's authentic. The power of Yewshua's transformation. Real divine masculines are revolutionaries. They're controversial. They're not afraid to go against the grain. They're not afraid to stand up to Jezebel's, Delilah's bitch. They ain't... They're not afraid to call people out on their BS. They're not afraid to call people out on their hypocrisy. They're not afraid. They're not afraid to be ostracized. They're revolutionaries. They stand for justice. They're warriors for the right shit. They live what they promote. They're gracious and kind. It's one of the things I love about the accurate information that we have in text about Yeshua's energy. Unlike some of these motherfuckers that was the know-it-alls at the time, bitch. Unlike them. Very kind. Sensitive. He got aggravated with injustice. This is when you know you're dealing with divine energies. Not arguing behind no text. He wasn't with that then. He had a problem with injustice. He had a problem with people exploiting people. He had a problem with people being unfair to people. He had a problem with hypocrites big time. Big. He had a problem with that. He stood for justice. And if you guys are wondering and wanting to, when you're trying to evaluate your life and as you're going about and applying things, these are markers. Start paying attention. And please pay attention far beyond social media. Please sense and feel into. This is 2023. I say this like a broken record, and I know it's getting tiring, but a 5-year-old can create a social media platform and copy and paste and upload and download. This is easy to do. Okay? Feel. Learning how to feel into. Learning how to sniff and pay attention and be observant. And then keeping up like that wisdom, like, Because I mean this in love, but every last one of us, anybody, it's not hard to do. It's called acting, which is what narcissists are good at. It's called acting, dear. It's called rehearsing. It's called sitting up hours upon hours every day, looking for people to imitate. So it's called acting. And unless you are, hey, how you doing? Unless you are up close and personal and behind the scene long enough, hear me out, long enough, you may not be seeing the fullness or the truths. You're seeing what they have rehearsed and been practicing for. People that have money, power, and resources, this is extremely easy for them to do because they can pay off all the right people and they can pay for all the right props and they can do all of the right things in this external sense. Someone was talking about, one of the narcissistic experts that I follow was talking about how, whether these people have clinical diagnoses or not, one of their things is that they, in their delusional state, think that they can equate a character, a trait to themselves that that by only way of observation, they feel like that is them, but it is not them. It's just something they're observing. They did not put in the soul evolution work. They just learned how to talk the soul evolution language. They never had any intention to do so. They only wanted to look this way so that they could be looked upon in a certain light. Whether this be religion circle, because everybody, they all choose different arenas to try to get some type of adoration and praise and worship. The religious community, the spiritual community, a particular group, they have no intention on ever really being that. Soon as they get off of the phone with all these prospective people crying and quoting things, they're right back at what they've been doing. Planning their next foolery. Strategizing to take advantage of people. Strategizing to steal from people. Strategizing to kill people. Strategizing to torture people. Yep, these are the same people that you're going to see all of these beautiful quotes on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and YouTube. These are the ones going to clergy and spiritualists and therapists crying and falling out like they don't understand. Because they had no intention of doing the work. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to heal and transform. Why should I heal and transform when I could take advantage of someone else's transformation? Why should I heal and transform when all I have to do is sit back with my arms folded and plan and plot and scheme to capitalize off of someone else's diligence? Why, when I can do a weird nigga bitch spell to create confusion so I can steal what I want? Yet these are the same people that many were looking up to and admiring erroneously. True divine energy are true revolutionaries. They're controversial. They stand for justice and fairness. They're driven by that. They're not driven by the 3D accolades. They're not driven by trying to hold up some rules and regulations so that they can feel like not a loser. They're not driven by that. They're driven by fairness. That's a divine energy.